Basil Schooley was known as the father of baseball in Stratford. He founded the Stratford Minor Baseball Association and served as the president for the first 14 years. He was also an inaugural member of the committee that established senior baseball in Stratford in the 60s. Basil was widely known as a workhorse. When his time wasn't occupied by his family or baseball, he was spending the rest of it in the community. He served as an alderman for the City of Stratford for 11 years. Basil was also involved in minor hockey, junior hockey, and served as the treasurer for the CNR Union for several years.
I mean, it's just a tremendous honor for our family to have him being recognized for all the things that he did in the community. And he was certainly immersed very deeply in the community over the years. Certainly with minor baseball, he was the founder of that, and back in the 30s or 40s, whenever that started, but it was way back then. He became known as the father of minor baseball in Stratford, and that's something that our family is very proud of, and I know he was too when he was alive. It was a tireless effort of pretty much every minute of his day and night was taken up with either family or community stuff, and he was a very busy guy, and I think he passed that lesson on to both his offspring and to his second layer, which is my level of family. So we're very proud of that. I can remember him telling me when I was fairly young that, when he was so involved in so many things, I would sit at his house and go through his scrapbooks for hours and hours and just look at things from my uncle and my dad and my aunt playing sports and my grandfather being involved. And I can remember him telling me all the work that it took to be able to put those teams on the field. And he said, it's so easy for people to quit and say, well, so-and-so isn't carrying their weight, or so-and-so said this, or so-and-so didn't do what they were supposed to do. And he said, never be that person. Never quit because of one of those things, because if you do, then you're like everybody else. But if you don't, that means you're never going to ever quit. And I think it's a really strong life lesson that I sort of carry to this day. I can remember in Tyke or Pee Wee baseball when we would go on a road trip that they would come down and it would be Baz, or it would be one of his executive members that were helping him, and they'd give us all a roll of nickels, and that roll of nickels, which I think is worth $2 or something like that, but at the time that was our money to go get a meal after the game when we came back from St. Thomas or Brantford after playing a ball game and getting that hamburger deluxe, and we just were on top of the world when that happened. And that's all because of the hard work that he put in, and so many of the other people that were involved with that baseball executive under his tutelage at the time. The time when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, there used to be something called playground baseball here in Stratford. It was called Wee Wee. And, we just was a ragtag group of kids playing all over town in all the different playgrounds. Well, in our case, my grandfather got our team an old set of uniforms that were, I think, destined for the garbage. I think they were made out of burlap, but our team got these uniforms, and they were the most uncomfortable things you could ever imagine. They were hot and scratchy, but man, were we proud, and our chests were out because our team had uniforms and nobody else did. And on the back it said the Stratford Milk Foundation, and that's certainly a fond memory of early on with my grandfather, and I know all the kids in that era remember the same thing from Baz giving us those uniforms. I want to read one thing too here this was published in the Beacon Herald in 1953 when the Bantam tournament was first being started. Here's what it said. It said, "The citizens as a whole owe a deep sense of gratitude in the knowledge that they know their boys are engaged in keen competitive sport, carefully administered, which is one of the reasons for almost no juvenile delinquency in this city. Give a boy a bat and a ball, and he won't become a bully or a burglar." Now that's pretty funny, but that was a story about Baz and Bill Bolton, who was known as Bummer Bolton, the guys that organized that tournament and organized baseball in Stratford. So it was obviously an important thing for them to do in the community, and we're very proud as a family to have Baz inducted tonight.